I've found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Fall forward. Every failed experiment is one step closer to success. You will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. But what will you do when you fall? Will you get back up? Will you push forward? Because the struggle, the pain, the setbacks, they're not the end. They're the beginning of greatness. The question is, are you ready to rise? Struggle is not something we seek, yet it's the very thing that molds us into who we are meant to become. In a world where ease is glorified and comfort is mistaken for success, Denzel Washington flips the narrative. He boldly states, ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. That simple truth down the illusion that comfort leads to greatness. It doesn't. Struggle does. It is through resistance, through pain, through difficulty, that we begin to unlock our true potential. No one has ever grown without discomfort. No one has risen without falling. And no one has achieved greatness without first being broken, refined, and built back up again by the fires of adversity. When Denzel speaks about struggle, it comes from experience. He wasn't born into fame or handed opportunity. He worked for it. He was doubted, dismissed, and at times even defeated. But what sets him apart is that he never let the struggle define him. He let it sharpen him. The rejection, the uncertainty, the long nights filled with prayer and persistence. Those weren't signs to quit. They were signs to keep going, because every struggle carries a seed of purpose. Every hardship whispers a message. This is where you grow. That's the essence of what Denzel conveys when he speaks about struggle being a path, not a punishment. There's something sacred about suffering, not in a glorified or romanticized way, but in the transformation it offers. Pain, when approached with the right mindset, doesn't break you, it awakens you. Struggle strips away the excess, the ego, the excuses. It reveals your character. It forces you to look inward, to question your beliefs, to rediscover what truly matters. Denzel's message reminds us that growth is not found in applause, in trophies, or in comfort zones. Growth is found in silence, in uncertainty, in those moments where you feel like giving up but choose to stand anyway. When we're in the thick of struggle, it's easy to think we're being punished or forgotten. But the truth is, we're being prepared. Greatness is not given. It is earned through perseverance, through showing up when no one is watching, through giving your best when you feel your worst. Denzel teaches us that your current struggle is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of something greater. It's a test of your resilience, your vision, your faith. And if you keep moving forward, no matter how slow, no matter how painful, you will eventually reach the other side. The world we live in now promotes shortcuts, instant gratification, and overnight success. But those things are illusions. Real success takes time. Real greatness is built slowly in the shadows, forged by years of effort that no one sees. Struggle is not a detour. It is the path. You don't climb a mountain by wishing it was flat. You climb it by embracing every steep, every slip, and every setback. And in the process, you become stronger than you ever imagined. Denzel's philosophy on struggle isn't just motivational. It's transformational. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He doesn't tell you it'll be easy. He tells you it will be worth it. Because it's only when you've suffered, only when you've cried, only when you've felt like everything is against you, and you choose to rise anyway, that you truly understand who you are. You were not made for mediocrity. You were not born to settle. You were created to grow, to stretch, to evolve. And that happens in the fire of adversity, not in the comfort of convenience. In your moments of struggle, when everything seems uncertain, remember this: you are being shaped. Every hardship is preparing you for something greater. It's building your endurance, refining your perspective, and toughening your spirit. So don't run from the struggle. Don't numb it, avoid it, or resent it. Embrace it. Learn from it. Let it humble you, strengthen you, and guide you. Because on the other side of struggle is not just success, it's transformation. And when you finally rise, you won't just be great, you'll be unstoppable. That is the message Denzel Washington lives by, and the truth he wants every one of us to carry. Put God first in everything you do. Those are not just words from Denzel Washington. They are a principle, a foundation, a way of living. In his speeches, interviews, and commencement addresses, Denzel repeatedly emphasizes the importance of faith. He doesn't hide it, doesn't water it down, and certainly doesn't apologize for it. For him, faith is not a side note. It's the fuel that drives the engine of his life. And in a world that often celebrates hustle without humility, success without spirituality, and ambition without alignment, Denzel's message is a bold and necessary reminder: greatness without God is hollow. Struggle without faith can feel hopeless. But when you put God first, everything, even the pain, begins to have purpose. He often shares a story of how his mother told him as a young man that he was going to travel the world and speak to millions. At the time, he was lost, getting into trouble, unsure of his path. Yet somehow, she saw what he didn't. That kind of vision, that clarity, came from a place of deep spiritual insight. Denzel never forgets that. He knows the power of prayer. He understands the strength that comes from knowing you're not walking alone. There were moments in his life where he could have chosen the easy road, where he could have let fame take over faith, but he didn't. Because when God is first, your ego doesn't get the final say. Your purpose does. Putting God first doesn't mean life will be easy. In fact, it almost guarantees that you'll face trials, because anything worth having requires pressure. Gold only becomes valuable through fire. Diamonds are made under intense pressure. And the soul, it's shaped through challenge. That's the deeper wisdom in Denzel's words. He isn't saying faith removes the struggle. He's saying faith sustains you through the struggle. Faith reminds you that your life is being authored by something greater, that your script is still being written, even when the current chapter feels dark. Denzel speaks often about discipline, focus, and perseverance, but he never detaches those things from faith. He sees them as connected. When you put God first, your priorities change. You stop chasing validation from others and start seeking alignment with a higher calling. You become less reactive to setbacks because you believe in divine timing. You develop patience, humility, and resilience, not just as motivational buzzwords, but as spiritual tools. You learn to walk by faith, not by sight. That doesn't mean you don't plan or prepare. It means you trust in the unseen. You trust that what's meant for you won't miss you. You trust that every detour has direction. There's a moment in one of Denzel's speeches where he says, "True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you sent beforehand that it's already yours." That line alone can change the way you see your dreams. It suggests that the very passion you feel, that longing to rise, to grow, to succeed, isn't random. It's not just ambition, it's evidence. It's a spiritual whisper that you are called for something. But the calling means nothing if you don't trust the caller. That's why putting God first isn't just a phrase, it's a lifestyle. It means waking up with gratitude. It means working hard not for applause, but for purpose. It means treating others with kindness, even when no one is watching. It means honoring the struggle because you know it's leading somewhere sacred. And maybe most importantly, putting God first means surrendering your timeline. Denzel didn't get to where he is overnight. There were rejections. There were doubts. There were moments where he questioned the path. But he kept showing up. He kept believing. He kept praying. He trusted that the seed he planted in faith would bloom in due season. That's a powerful lesson. Your greatness doesn't have to be rushed. It just has to be rooted. And when your roots are in God, the fruit will come. Not always how or when you expect it, but always right on time. So when Denzel Washington says, put God first, he's not giving advice. He's sharing a blueprint, a way to rise with integrity, to struggle with meaning, and to achieve without losing your soul. Because real greatness, the kind that inspires generations, doesn't come from what you build. It comes from what you believe. Dreams without goals are just wishes. That single line from Denzel Washington carries the weight of an entire philosophy on personal success. It's a warning and a wake-up call. Too often, we get caught in the rhythm of dreaming without structure, imagining a future filled with glory while standing still in the present. But Denzel is direct. If you don't set goals to support your dreams, they will float away like smoke. They will comfort you momentarily, but never build anything lasting. That's why the difference between people who talk about success and those who achieve it often comes down to one simple discipline: clear, consistent, purpose-driven goal setting. Denzel doesn't just encourage dreaming big. He insists on matching those dreams with a roadmap. He talks about having daily, monthly, and yearly goals and treating them not as suggestions, but as non-negotiables. If your dream is to be a filmmaker, for example, then your daily goals might be to write a page of a script, study a classic film, or attend a workshop. Monthly, you may set a goal to finish a short screenplay. Yearly, it might be to shoot and submit a short film to a festival. These are not massive steps by themselves, but they are intentional. They create momentum. They force growth. Because when dreams are backed by action, even small steps become sacred. What Denzel also points out, often through the lens of his own life, is that the pursuit of goals is not glamorous. It's not supposed to be. It's tedious, repetitive, and sometimes boring. But that's where the magic happens. The person who can show up when motivation is gone and excitement has faded is the one who turns dreams into reality. He once said, without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. That consistency, the daily discipline to chase your goals regardless of how you feel, is the bridge between your struggle and your greatness. Another essential point Denzel makes is the importance of writing your goals down. When you write something down, you're not just making a note, you're making a commitment. You're putting your vision into physical form, and that act forces clarity. It forces responsibility. Suddenly, your dream isn't floating in your head anymore. It's on the page. It can be tracked. It can be challenged. It can be measured. And goals also provide feedback. They allow you to evaluate progress. Without them, you won't know whether you're improving, standing still, or slipping backward. You'll confuse busy work with productive work. You'll measure success by emotion instead of direction. Denzel didn't become one of the most respected actors in the world by luck or passion alone. He set goals, pursued craft, studied deeply, and never let up. He committed to daily discipline because he knew dreams only matter if they're supported by real action. But even more importantly, goals give your struggle meaning. When you wake up at 5 a.m. to put in work, whether it's the gym, your art, your business, your education, and you know why you're doing it, you're no longer suffering aimlessly. You're enduring with intention. And that intention is powerful. It gives you fuel on the hard days. It keeps you going when no one is watching. It reminds you that every drop of sweat is part of something bigger. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. One waits for motivation, the other builds momentum. In Denzel's words and in his example, the message is crystal clear. Don't just dream, organize. Don't just hope, plan. Don't just imagine, execute. If you truly want to go from struggle to greatness, you have to treat your goals like a lifeline, not a to-do list, but a roadmap to the life you've always imagined. And remember, the journey won't be perfect, but perfection isn't the goal, progress is. Every small win, every daily task completed, every disciplined hour is proof that your dream is not just a fantasy. It's a future in motion. Failure is a word that many people fear. It carries a weight that often keeps us from trying, from stepping out, from taking risks. But Denzel Washington redefines that word in a way that transforms fear into power. When he says, fall forward, he's not just offering a catchy phrase, he's delivering a mindset that turns failure into fuel. Most people are taught to avoid failure at all costs, to view it as a dead end, as the proof that they weren't good enough. But Denzel reminds us that failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the path to it. Imagine every successful person you admire, an athlete, a leader, an artist, an entrepreneur. Every one of them has failed. Some have failed publicly. Some have failed repeatedly. But what sets them apart is that they didn't stay down. They used their failures to refine their direction, to sharpen their focus, to fuel their hunger. Denzel's own story is filled with moments where he was told no, where doors were shut in his face, where others doubted his potential. But instead of quitting, he leaned into those moments. He learned from them. He grew stronger. Falling forward means refusing to let failure define your identity. It means understanding that setbacks are not the end of your story. They are chapters in your journey. You fall forward by failing with purpose. That means when you take a shot and miss, you learn something. You move closer to your goal. You adjust. You come back better. Too many people fall and stay down, assuming that one rejection or one loss means they're not cut out for greatness. But what if the opposite is true? What if falling is the very sign that you're pushing boundaries? What if stumbling means you're walking a path few are brave enough to walk? Denzel speaks often about how failure is necessary, not just something we tolerate, but something we need. Because it's only when things don't go our way that we discover what we're truly made of. Struggle brings out resilience. Rejection sharpens persistence. Disappointment demands patience. Each of these traits is critical for greatness, and none of them are developed when everything goes smoothly. It's when things fall apart that you are being built up. One of the most powerful aspects of Denzel's fall forward philosophy is its call to action. It doesn't just tell you to get back up. It tells you to move with intention. To forward means you're always advancing, always learning, always reaching. It transforms falling into a form of forward motion. Even when you lose, you gain insight. Even when you break down, you build wisdom. Failure then becomes not a barrier but a staircase, a rough, uneven, sometimes painful staircase that still leads upward. In a world that pressures us to always succeed, always win, always look perfect, Denzel's words are liberating. They tell us it's okay to be human. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to try and fall short. What matters is that you keep moving forward, that you don't quit, that you don't define yourself by the fall, but by the rise, by the courage to try again and again and again. Denzel's own rise to greatness was not instant. He faced rejection, doubt, and failure just like anyone else. But he didn't let those moments stop him. He used them. He learned from them. He fell forward. That's why he speaks with such conviction, because he's lived it. He knows the pain of struggle, and he knows the triumph of persistence. His message is a reminder that greatness isn't reserved for the lucky or the flawless. It's reserved for the relentless. So when you fall, and don't fall back. Don't retreat. Don't give up. Fall forward. Learn from it. Grow from it. Let that failure become the proof that you're daring greatly, that you're chasing something meaningful, that you're not playing it safe, but living with purpose. In every fall lies a seed of success. If you're willing to get up, learn, and keep going, that's how you turn struggle into strength and failure into greatness. At the end of the day, it's not about what you have, it's about who you've lifted up. This simple yet powerful truth, echoed by Denzel Washington, reshapes the very meaning of greatness. In a world obsessed with status, wealth, and recognition, true success is found not in accumulation, but in contribution. Greatness is not just reaching the top, it's reaching back and pulling others up along the way. The struggles you face, the pain you endure, and the lessons you learn along the journey aren't just for you. They are part of a much bigger purpose. They become tools, testimonies, and guiding lights for others who are still trapped in their own storms. When you rise from the bottom, you gain something far more valuable than titles. You gain perspective. That perspective teaches you to see beyond yourself. You begin to understand the pain in others because you've lived it. You recognize hopelessness because you felt it. And that's what gives your voice power. That's what makes your story matter. The greatness forged in struggle becomes a light for someone else walking through darkness. And that light, that's your legacy. Denzel Washington emphasizes legacy not as the wealth you leave behind, but the impact you have while you're here. Who did you inspire when they were ready to quit? Who did you remind of their worth when they felt like nothing? Who did you make believe in themselves again when the world told them they were finished? These are the silent victories that define a life of substance. You don't need to be on stage or in the spotlight to lift others. Sometimes it's in the quiet moments, a word of encouragement, A hand extended, an example set in silence, that greatness is revealed. And the beauty of legacy is that it multiplies. One person you help can go on to help another. The chain continues long after you're gone. That's the difference between success and significance. Success dies with you, but significance lives beyond you. It's not about being remembered for being important. It's about being remembered for making others feel important. The person who used their own scars to heal someone else, who turned their wounds into wisdom, that's the person who lives forever in the hearts of others. Denzel often says, "You'll never see a U haul behind a hearse. You can't take anything with you when you leave this world. The cars, the money, the applause, they all fade. But the lives you touched, the souls you reached, those stay. That's the real treasure. The people you help to believe in themselves again will carry your name long after the lights dim. That's why struggle matters. That's why the pain is worth it. Because on the other side of your suffering, someone else's hope is waiting. When you make it out of the fire, don't just celebrate. Go back for someone still burning. Teach them how you made it through. Show them that their story isn't over yet. That's leadership. That's leadership. And that's real greatness. Not the kind that fades with trends or applause, but the kind that echoes through generations. You become part of a cycle of upliftment where your pain births someone else's power. So when you struggle, don't just ask, "Why me?" Ask, "How can this be used?" Your journey isn't just about survival, it's about significance. Your purpose isn't just to make it, it's to make a difference. You're not just here to climb, you're here to carry. The power of your life is in the people you empower. Your success will shine for a moment, but your legacy will shine forever. Denzel's message is clear: chase purpose, not applause. Live a life that matters, not just one that impresses. The world doesn't need more people at the top. It needs more people willing to lift others up. So leave something behind that time can't erase. Lift someone up, give more than you take, and let your greatness be measured by the lives you've helped transform. Because that's what true greatness looks like.